No.
Okay. Right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to yet another fairy cooking session with my faithful elf here, Meg. And now today, if you haven't seen the recipes, today we are going to do tomatoes three ways. So the first, well, all of the recipes are done with this basic roasted tomatoes, roasted red peppers, roasted onions, and some garlic in an oven pan with some sprinkling of olive oil and salt and pepper, and roasted in the oven at 200 for about 40 minutes. And just check, because it's quite nice to get a little bit of the char on the red peppers and things. It gives it quite a nice flavor. So I did that this morning. I roasted all these vegetables already. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put them in the food processor right here and put them. And as I said in the recipe, you can leave them a little bit lumpy if you like. They don't all have to be smooth. But if you like a smooth soup, because we're starting with the soup, I think there's a bit much there. We're starting with the soup, which is a wonderful tomato and red pepper soup. And please never, ever again serve packet soup to your guests at a dinner party or tin soup. No, 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 no. You can have that at home when there's no one else around. But for a lovely dinner or a supper for guests, you do your beautiful tomato soup. So I'm going to make a little bit of noise here. We have to do the Jerusalem dance again. A little bit more. I think that's enough. And to get this out of here is enough. Thank you. You just put this away. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can see this mixture, I've left it quite lumpy. Can you see? Except I'm pouring it in the wrong pot. Can I have that pot, please? This pot was just here to lift up what I'm doing so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so that goes in there. Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to put this, this is the soup, and I need some, I'm going to put some in there and some in another dish, because I just want to leave that there for now. They don't have to see that yet. I want to, can I have that burra back and the rest of the tomato? I did a whole big box of tomatoes because we're doing 3 recipes. And the tomatoes that were in the little dish that we left over. No, those, there, yeah, that one. Yeah. Just going to finish the rest of the tomatoes. Thank you, Elf. Thank you. Right. There we go. Right, so now we've got a little bit extra here, which we'll keep for our aubergine dish. But for the soup now, can you see we've got quite a lot of the tomato mixture. And as I said in the recipe, we're going to add just water because it is the soup. So can I have the boiling water, please? And I say do not cover the the tomato with water more than just up to the tomato, but you can gauge how thick you want your soup to be. So let's just I think, yeah, we don't want to add too much water because then you're going to have a very watery soup. So if that's the consistency of the soup you like, so be it. You can make it a little bit thicker. And into the tomato soup, basically all we add is some oregano. I have already got everything else in here. And then a chicken stock cube, but if you're vegetarian, use vegetable stock. I wouldn't use beef stock or anything like that. Just either a vegetable stock or chicken stock. That's all. So that is the simplest little soup that you can. It's easier than opening a can once you've roasted your vegetables. So can it go on the stove? And we're going to leave that to just cook on the stove for about 20 minutes or so while we now do the rest. But before, and then remind me, when I dish up the soup, remind me to show you how to make your own croutons. So you don't have to go buying croutons for 75 Rand at the shop. You just get some bread and toast it and rub it with oil and garlic, and that's it. In fact, while it's warm, maybe we should do it now. So I've toasted this nice ciabatta bread. No, it's fine. And then we're going to put a bit of oil on it. And I had a piece of garlic there with the toaster there. So we just rub it with oil while it's still warm. Thank you. And then a clove of garlic. And you just rub it like this. And it makes it quite a strong taste of garlic. And once that's done, then you just cut it. You just cut your bread into little squares. And these croutons are very nice. So can you see the croutons?
Yes, when you lift them up. No, yeah. You can't see the chopping board when you're down. But
whoops.
Yeah.
Can you see that there?
Yes.
So that's your croutons, and we'll keep that aside for now. And then while the soup is cooking, so did you see how simple the soup is? You roast your vegetables for 40 minutes and you put them in the food processor, put them around to the thickness that you want. I like it quite lumpy. Add a little bit of water very carefully so that you stir it, so that then you can gauge how thick you'd like your soup. Don't serve what looks like a puree on a plate, because that's not quite nice, and not a runny soup like a packet soup, but sort of in between. And the next thing that we're going to do is, while we're waiting for the soup, can I lift this thing? We are going to make, let me see. Can you see, I've got a frying pan with some of the tomato mixture in. Now we are going to make shakshuka. Have you heard of shakshuka? It is an Israeli or Eastern dish. Can you see the egg in the dish? It's a lovely breakfast dish. Can you see?
Yes,
and this is in the book called Jerusalem by Yotam Ottolenghi and Sami Tamimi. But there are lots of other recipes for shakshuka. And the one that I've given you is my own simpler version. Now, what you really need to do to this is, where is the sriracha? Do you know this sriracha? It's a very hot sauce. So do it carefully, but you add a little bit into your tomato, maybe some smoked paprika as well, if it comes out. Yeah. And then we're going to put it on and basically just warm your I can't pick it up because then the stove goes off. So then you just warm up your tomato, let it bubble for a little bit. And once it's nice and hot, I can't take it off here. Can you see? Can you see?
It's half the pan.
So the mixture is in the pan. I wonder if we can just move the screen a little bit. You don't have to see me. There you can see. You can see that the mixture is in the pan. I have to use this pan because this is a convection thing, and you need an iron pan. But you can use any frying pan if you're going to do it on the stove. And oh no, it's gone off. This thing doesn't work if you touch it. And then what you do is then you put some indentations into the 10. Let's do the 10 up. Yeah. Okay, Elf, let's go. Look, it's starting to steam. So we're warming up our egg, and then we're just going to, warming up our tomato, and then we're just going to drop the eggs in there. So David will be having his breakfast for supper tonight. And one more. I had a fourth egg somewhere. Ah, there it is. I thought I lost an egg. Hello. Okay, so there you go. Can you see that it's almost looking like the picture? Can you see the picture there? So there's your eggs cooking, and you can sort of move the white around a little bit so that it cooks evenly, but do not break the yolk. Let the yolk cook nicely. And if you want it to hurry up a little bit, you can even put a lid on it. And what I also need to tell you about this mixture is that tomato is usually a little bit sour. So you can add a teaspoon or so of sugars, which I'm going to do now to this mixture here. And that's herbs. So we've added a little bit of sugar to one of the mixtures. But if you taste, which I suggest every chef as they're going on, they should be tasting. I already tasted my stuff this morning. And it's very, very delicious. If you sprinkle salt and pepper, let's just push it back a bit. If you sprinkle salt and pepper onto your tomatoes and vegetables while they're roasting in the oven, then be very careful that you don't add any more onto the sauce without tasting it. And that is why when I made the soup, I only added 1 chicken stock cube because they're very salty, the ones you buy at the shop. So you don't want to oversalt your food until you've tasted it. So this could actually go on the stove. We'll put the stove on first, and then when it's hot, then we'll bring it. So we're going to just put this on the stove because it's making all the steam and and everything, and the eggs need to cook a little bit more. And then we will go on to doing the aubergine bake, which is very nice too. So, and also I wanted to tell you while we're waiting, is the oven on?
It's the top of
The oven.
Oh, you want the oven? Right.
Oven needed to go on. In your recipes, I said that as an alternative, you can make some sauce like this and add a bit of sugar to it, wherever it is. Yeah. No, sugar's gone, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there, sugar, right. So we're going to add a little bit more sugar. I've just added a little bit more sugar into this dish.
On top of the stove.
Yeah, that can go on the stove. Thank you. So you see, we'll show you when it's finished cooking. And I said to you, you can do like a lovely starter with the sauce. I've thawed some prawns that are already cleaned and frozen at Woolworths. So all you do is you just thaw them, put them in your sauce, dot them around, and push them in there. And then somewhere I had some feta cheese. And then once you've got your prawns in your tomato, then you can, I just put this down, and then you put some feta on. Right. And then this should go into a hot oven, but the oven wasn't on yet, so we will just put the grill on maybe. Do you know how to do the grill? Right, so far we've done the soup and we have done the shakshuka, which is cooking on the stove, and I think the egg should be more or less ready in a minute. What do you think, Alf?
Yeah.
Got to ask the elf. Elf runs backwards and forwards to the stove. So now, the next thing that we are going to do is, where is my red dish here? We are going to make the aubergine bake. And for that, we start off with a layer of the same tomato mixture without the water. Don't forget, the water only goes into the soup. The others do not have. And then you can take this mixture and add chilies or whatever you like to it. And then we have these. So also, while I was roasting the vegetables this morning, I sliced some aubergines into about 1 centimeter slices and roasted those. Be careful because they burn quite easily. So about 30 minutes or so with a sprinkling of olive oil on, and also underneath in the pan, because aubergines tend to absorb a lot of oil, which I'm sure you know. So now we've put a layer of aubergines on the tomato, and now we are going to put a layer of onions, which I also fried this morning. For the 2 dishes that I did, I fried 4 big onions because I've got one ready that I'm going to show you. So divide that mixture in half if you're making 2, and then this one in half again, and put on top of the aubergines, you put a layer of of onion. And keep that, and then the cheese. And then a layer of cheese. This is my favorite son-in-law's favorite vegetable dish. He's not such a vegetable lover. In fact, if I make something with celery in it, he hauls out every little piece of celery. So now that's got a layer of cheese. And then we start again. Another layer of tomato sauce. Are you checking the grill that it doesn't burn? Okay. Layer of tomato sauce. And I've got here some sliced olives with no pips in, because that's lovely. And so I'm going to put those in as well. It gives it a very sort of Mediterranean flavor to add a little bit of olives. You can add black olives as well, but don't forget to take the pips out unless you've got public liability for your friend's tooth, dentist bills. And then we're going to add more aubergine. Right. You've got to cook quite a lot of aubergines. I used, for these two dishes, I had 7 little ones, but maybe 4 bigger ones will suffice, because they do shrink quite a bit while you're cooking them. So that's your layer of aubergines on top of the tomato, aubergine, onion, cheese. Then again, tomato, aubergine, onion, and this is so delicious. I haven't added any salt to anything because when I did the vegetables, obviously the tomatoes got salt in and everything. And this top layer, I have some, I said breadcrumbs. These are panko breadcrumbs, but you don't have to go and buy panko if you don't want to. You can just make some toast, and when it's cool, you put it in your food processor and make your crumbs yourself. But these pankos are quite nice. So I'm going to put a layer of, not too thick, of pankos at the top. And then some cheese. And this cheese, by the way, is cheddar and mozzarella mixed. Mozzarella makes it nice and stringy and gooey. So that's that. And then I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of paprika on to make it pretty. Maybe just a little more breadcrumbs. So there, can you see? Can you see it on there? Yeah. Can see, Pam? Yes. Or not? Okay, so that goes in the oven. And then when it comes out, then it looks like that. So let it get golden, about 30 to 40 minutes, or at 180. And this has gone down a little bit because it's been out of the oven for a couple of hours already, because I did it this morning. But you can warm it up again and serve it piping hot. It goes beautifully with roast lamb or any Mediterranean type of dish. So there's that. And now, how's the soup? Yeah, you can bring the soup. So then we're going to dish up some soup for you. Let's just put it over here. Won't work on it. So can you see the soup? Era, let's get there should be a jar here. Now this soup you can decorate it in all sorts of glamorous ways for a dinner party. You can put a swirl of pesto on. Pesto is very easy to make at home. Can you see now I've put it in this plate, and we're going to, can I have the croutons? Maybe a little bit of sour cream. Swirl of that on. Can you see? Swirl of that on. If you want to be really glamorous, get one of those squeegee bottles that you can get at Mambo's and put all your sour cream in there and then squeeze it around in a nice sort of circle. And if you want, then you can put on some croutons and a bit of coriander, or some of your micro herbs that you've grown. Yeah, or else, let me just get this, or otherwise, if you don't want to put the croutons in the soup, then some nice toast on the side. So can you see that? Can you see? Okay. Any questions about the soup? So what are we cooking now? Where's the eggs?
I have a question.
Sorry?
I have this question.
So there's your eggs.
Yes, Nina wants to answer.
Yes, Neela?
Helena, would the taste be different if you were to pressure cook your tomatoes and your peppers as opposed to baking it?
Yes, that the whole thing here is that you roasting them in the oven, and the roasting actually sort of sun dries them, if one can put it like that, takes a little bit of the water out of the tomatoes and intensifies their flavor. If you're going to put it in a pressure cooker, you're just going to get like a tomato mush. I wouldn't, you can do it, but then you're going to get nothing nice like this. The roasting with the vegetables all together just gives it that lovely, slightly charred flavor. If you let it sort of burn a little bit on the top, just a tiny bit. And as I said, it intensifies the flavor of the vegetables because it removes, while it's roasting for 40 minutes, it removes some of the moisture.
Okay.
So if you want to make like a tomato sauce in a pressure cooker with these vegetables, then I would say add a little bit of balsamic vinegar, just a tablespoon or so, or Worcester sauce or something, just to give it a little bit more of a flavor, because it's going to be very watery.
Okay.
So, but if you want to do, if you don't want to do it in the oven, wait until you've got something that you already got the oven on for, so you don't have to put the oven on specifically for these vegetables. Okay. Plan your meals so that you're using the oven to its optimum sort of thing and not wasting electricity or anything like that. Like obviously if you try to save time with your pressure cooker, it's not the same. No.
Okay.
Then you would just make yourself like a pasta sauce with that same ingredients, but it wouldn't have that nice flavor. Does that answer your question? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so here are your eggs, shakshuka, and then you just basically sprinkle them with, I've got dill and parsley here, and serve it again with a nice piece of toast. If you want to do bacon or sausages or anything like that, you can also do that. So there's that. Oh, that's very hot. And then this should, then here is your prawn dish. I don't think the prawns are cooked yet, but you let it sort of go in the oven until the feta starts to melt and get a little bit brown on the top. So this just needs to cook another 10 minutes or so. Any questions about the eggs, the shakshuka? Try it. This is really a delicious breakfast. Yeah, and you can actually do this in a normal frying pan on the stove. I just had to do it on this thing here so that you can see what I'm doing. So that's that. And oh, there it is. Exactly. Scottle outside. Yeah. And there's this. So I'll just cut some of this so that you can see. Plates are behind you there. Yeah, middle drawer. Yeah. This is very yummy. Let's do a bigger piece, yeah? And some herb. So there's your aubergine bake, which is, it's cold now, but it's very, very delicious when it is hot and it comes bubbling out of the oven. So you can make it in advance like I've done it now, and then put it in the oven 40 minutes before you want to serve it so that it's nice and hot. Yeah. So there's your eggs, there's your soup, there's your shakshuka. Wow. And you've got your prawns, which just need to bake a little bit longer, and serve that as the starter when you have people round casually. Give them some nice crusty bread to dip into the sauce. You can thin the sauce out a little bit if you want to, with maybe add some wine. I think I put it in the recipe that you can add a little bit of wine to the sauce and let it bubble away first before you add the prawns and the feta on top. Geez, we seem to have gone through this very quickly. Well, I think we're done. Any questions?
Helena?
Yes?
Do you ever add a little bit of milk to the tomato soup you've made?
No, I've never done that. If you really want to enrich it a little bit, maybe add some cream if you want to, but I've never done that myself. But I know some recipes do say milk or cream with a tomato sauce. But this recipe I've been making for quite a number of years, and I've never needed to add any milk to it. Because you can swirl your sour cream around it at the top, and that's delicious enough. Okay, anything else? No. So this one hasn't got brown enough, but just leave it in the oven or under the grill, because the recipe does say 250, so it's got to be quite hot, and you want your feta cheese to go a little bit brown on the top, and then it's very nice to dip into with a bread. And I don't think the prawns are cooked yet, but anyway, it's prawn ceviche.